Heathens, and welcome to my channel. I am Beauty Heathen, and my channel is dedicated to the exploration of paganism through the medium of cosmetics. If you enjoy this subject matter or find my content of interest, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and set the bell to all to be notified when I upload new videos. Today's episode will be a combination of discussing twin flame aspects as well as a story time, because I'm going a bit off cuff. I have no script in front of me with regards to this subject. I think I will just go ahead and work with the So Jaded palette for eyes today, and let me go ahead and do a quick blush and highlight. And I will be using, let's see, this from the Ulta box. It's the Matte Nude Pink Blush on the face. I'm just trying to get some color off. As with pretty much every video I do, little disclaimer, do not look to these videos to see how products work and to see how they react. You can't go based off of how they react on the cosmetic practice heads for how they would react on human skin. The cosmetic practice heads do not have texture to grip onto the cosmetics when I try to apply them. So if you were looking for a review, this is not the channel for that. I highly recommend you seek out an actual review channel for things such as that kind of thing. All of these cosmetic practice heads are coated in a layer of hairspray. Then I apply a layer of foundation, which, where did I put today's? Not that one. Is it this one? Yes. I did LA Girl Pro Coverage HD Foundation in the color Fair today. I'm starting to run out of porcelain and dark chocolate, and toast, I think, is the medium shade that I usually use with these heads, but I had bought a very large stock of a variety of colors of foundations, so we are going to use them all up before I buy new things. And I'm going to use the Shimmer Mauve. Oh, they call that a blush? Oh, yeah. Okay, never mind. I'll use the pink highlighter. Let's see. As I said in the previous video, I haven't washed my brushes yet, so I know, for shame and soup and stuff. But, so I'm trying to make do with what I have until I'm able to wash them tonight. Had some complications at home, and unfortunately I had no room to really wash things. But from what I've personally noticed, these highlighters tend to be pretty decent. They don't come off blinding right away, but they are buildable. Just trying to make sure I apply it in somewhat same position. And I think that's good. Today's video is going to be on the subject of twin flames and how we as a society, and quite a number of people, tend to romanticize them. And as somebody who has not only encountered but dealt with their twin flame, I want to kind of bring people sort of back down to reality. Because the subject of twin flames, because it's so overhyped and so frequently people think, once I find my twin flame, I have found my person for the rest of my life. Unfortunately, for many, like myself, that is not the case. Twin flames are not necessarily meant to be romantic partners. Twin flames can come in any age, they can come in any gender. I'm going to apply the color ametrine as a base. They can come in any culture. They can be any religion. They can be familial. They can be, they really can come in pretty much any form. And it's time we stop looking at them as the answer to all of our romantic wishes and wishes for a partner. Now, twin flames often show up as your exact opposite. Not necessarily racially, although that can happen too. But I know for me, as I've said in a previous video, I am not thin by any means or measure, and my twin flame is a man who, I guess you could say, is very physically attractive and what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, I hate that. I hate when I'm trying to think of a word and it just escapes me. Personable, I guess, is the best way I could put it. I tend to be very introverted. He tends to be more extroverted. I'm older than him, which, when I realized exactly what the dynamic was, I will not lie, I was not entirely happy with that, because one thing I'd always wanted was somebody who was older than me, because I've always found people who are younger than me to be quite immature, especially romantically. I'm just giving you some from my own personal experiences. I'm pagan, he's Christian, Catholic, all of that kind of stuff. And it was one of those things where the twin flame dynamic, it really can hit you out of nowhere. You can be in a room, and how it happened for me, at least, was I'd had a very negative span of luck, I guess you could say. I'd really given up on any romantic notions, and technically I'm back there in that mental state. I'm using the color garnet for the crease. It's Valentine's week. We're going to have a lot of romantic inspired looks this week. So don't come at me for using a lot of similar tones and things. And when I first encountered him, it just was the weirdest thing on the face of the planet for me. I tend to be really, really, really slow with processing my own emotions and especially picking up on if other people are interested in me. It really does take a person being very forward and very blunt with me and basically taking me by the shoulder and say, "Hey, I'm interested in you," for me to really get it, if that makes any sense. Um, so, for me, at least initially, I did not get it. I just knew that when I was around this person, especially being highly sensitive, I felt like I was home. I felt I was safe. I felt this immediate sense that I could trust them and that they would never hurt me. Which, the reason why I'm putting this all into words is because if you encounter somebody like that, or if you encounter your twin flame, I want you to do your best to fight that inclination. Because here's the thing. Twin flames connect at a very spiritual level. The connection can be so intense and out of nowhere, and you can't explain it, and so magnetizing that you can be in a room crowded full of people and literally not see anyone but that person. And I know that sounds like the perfect love, and it sounds like the ultimate romantic situation like they show in the movies and everything of that nature, but what you have to remember is that that connection is at the spiritual level, and the human being who has that spiritual side to them still has free will, and they still have their own stuff in this reality and in their lives and all that kind of thing for them to work through and deal with, and their showing up in your life and you showing up in their life can be very, very, very triggering. For me, it served as a catalyst for all of my previous emotional stuff that I had buried down deep and didn't want to ever face or deal with. I'm using the color Carnelian right now. It's a matte color right on the lid. To come to the surface, and it wouldn't go back down, and it wouldn't leave me alone until I dealt with it. And it took me about 3 months to really deal with the things that I'd buried. And even now, I still sometimes have to deal with certain things, but my emotions are a lot more balanced now versus back then, because I had been burying past traumas, past events that were really damaging. And in the midst of this, he initially made the move to want to try to be romantic. And it hit me out of nowhere. I didn't see it coming. And I wanted the same in return, but it wasn't the right time. It was not the right time. And as much as I tried, and he had at least initially tried, it just wasn't working. I'm going to use the color You're a Gem up on this upper area. And he moved on. romantically with other people. And I ended up just being very hurt and destroyed in the end, until the point I finally said I have had enough and I can't do this anymore and I have to move on with my life and not keep carrying this side of me that is ultra loyal to a fault sometimes. I'm just blending everything together. And keep hurting myself like this. I have to let go. As much as it hurt, as much as it, even now, is painful, it was something I had to do for my own well-being. And while I get that there are some people who are meant to be with their twin flames in this lifetime, it just appears that I am not one of those people. Which is why I'm getting into why we need to stop romanticizing twin flames. Twin flames are very shocking to the system. And they cause you to go through a lot of mental, emotional shifts. The sole purpose of a twin flame showing up in your life, whether or not they are meant to be there romantically, is only to put you on the path that you are meant to be on. They are meant to make you deal with your shit. They are meant to make you face your shadow side and deal with the things that you don't want to deal with. They are meant to bring things to the surface that you may not want to deal with. People hear twin flame and they get hearts and flowers around their heads sometimes, when they have no real conception of how hard it can oftentimes be. Twin flames are a soul connection. You go through several lifetimes with your soulmate. Sometimes they incarnate into that lifetime, sometimes they don't. Sometimes you're meant to be romantically connected, other times you're not. But it's not easy. And you go through stages of being apart, and then all of a sudden you come back together, and then you're apart again, and you come back together again. But, you can't constantly hold on to somebody who doesn't want to stay, and when they show you that they are not ready or that they do not want you, you have to believe them and you have to move on. And trust me, that's as hurtful to say as it is to hear. So, when I talk about twin flame dynamic, there is a very strong difference between a twin flame and a soulmate. A soulmate, just similarly to a twin flame, can be anybody. Familial, it can be a pet, it can be a best friend, it can be a romantic interest, it can literally be anyone. But unlike twin flame, you have many soulmates. They can be from any walk of life. But in contrast, you generally only have one twin flame. And the connection is very intense. Very, very, very intense. And no matter where you go, no matter what you do, no matter what changes may come into your life, they are always at the back of your head. And if you don't allow yourself to move along and focus on the things that you need to, I'm using the color Ruby right now. I'm not gonna lie, it drives you a little bit insane. Because all you have is that thought in the back of your head thinking of them. And they can and will occupy that space in your mind to an extreme extent, whether you wish them to or not. And it sometimes can be a bit maddening. And I don't mean like maddening as in making you angry, although it can do that too. It can also drive you absolutely crazy, because especially when you're going through the stage of not wanting to deal with them or not wanting to think of them, if you are parting ways especially, it can be really hard to get them out of your head. And if you are somebody who has gone through this or is going through this, my best advice, at least what worked for me, is go absolutely cold turkey. Block them on all social media sources, block them on your phone, block them every single place you can, and just allow yourself to focus on you. Allow yourself to completely and totally focus on grieving and healing from it. Because even though it feels like your entire heart and soul has been put through a blender and then a wood chipper and then a blender again for good measure, yes, it is really that destructive. It can and does get better. Don't give up. But you have to separate yourself from them to the fullest extent, because you're not helping anyone. Not them, not yourself. I'm just trying to brush away extra powder. I'm going to go into the color. I think I'm going to do Sunstone. I was trying to decide between this or Fluorite, which is more purpley, but I think Sunstone is a better color choice for this eye look. But you do have that sense of recognition when you encounter your twin flame of like, aha, there you are. I've been looking for you. And the connection is life-changing. I mean, there's just no other way to put it. Because it shifts your entire perspective, and whatever path you may have been on or whatever routine you were following, all of a sudden none of it matters anymore. You can become very codependent very easily with them. And this can especially be difficult to deal with if you're in a relationship with another person, because a twin flame relationship is not at all make, shape, or form like any relationship you will ever experience in your life, because no one is going to understand it unless they have been through it themselves. So I'm just putting that out there right now. Do not expect your friends, do not expect family, do not expect anyone to absolutely understand this connection unless they have been through it themselves. Because it doesn't make sense. There is no earthly rules that go with the twin flame dynamic. There are no nothing makes sense. All of a sudden you just have this magnetized connection with this person, and nobody else matters and nothing else matters. You can have similar dreams. You can be thousands of miles apart and know what they're doing. You can be... It's a very mental connection. And you can see the best in them, and you see all of the worst in them as well. There is no hiding anything with your twin flame. You really start to deal with the complex and hidden aspects of yourself, and you trigger that in them as well. But the complexity comes in with societal pressures. For me, personally, I have the strong inclination that he had people in his life who were like, but why her? Because I in no way, make, shape, or form match his life. There are 7 stages from where you are searching for that person to awakening to it, where it's like, aha, I found you. There's the test phase, which is the honeymoon phase, where everything is hearts and flowers and all the stuff that people tout the twin flame dynamic to completely be, which it is not. Then you have the crisis phase, where after that euphoria has gone right, you have the grief, betrayal, struggles, and none of this is all just linear. You can go through it many times. You have the running and chasing stage, which happened a lot. Then you surrender, where you give up. And sometimes you have the reunion, where you come back together after you've gone apart and you've individually done your own things for a while. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional. You manage to come back together with one another. See, all the things that you think you have dealt with and you're healed from already by moving on, all of a sudden you start talking about one subject and boom, it's all right there again. Okay, I think I'm going to use that color. Sorry about that. I had cleaned off my table to do the Johnny Depp Amber Heard reading on Friday, so because of that, all of my stuff was moved. I think I'm actually going to use this color for the first time, which I haven't haven't up until this point, only because it didn't seem to really go with much of anything that I was doing. And this color is called Lilac Moon. Yes, Lilac Moon. Which is kind of fitting considering the whole full moon just recently happened. But yeah, try to remember if you ever encounter your twin flame, and if you ever feel that connection, try to remember that the only reason why they have shown up in your life is to wake you up to bigger and better things that you may not have previously contemplated or given yourself a chance to explore. And it's not easy. It is not easy, and it is not as simple as I have found the one. I think of one really good movie regarding twin flame dynamic is Serendipity, where in that movie they go apart many times. Then they have complications of, for she's getting married, then he's getting married, and it keeps happening over and over again till eventually they come back together. Another one that is a twin flame movie that I absolutely love is called The Lake House with Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. But those are just to give you some sort of idea as to what can make it difficult. Obviously, these are fictional movies, and the likelihood you're going to put a letter in a letterbox and it's going to be delivered 2 years in the past or future is slim to nil, but it's that whole connection aspect that I'm talking about. Do not look to this application today for how these lipsticks work, because I can tell you I've used many Gerard Cosmetic lipsticks before this episode, and they have all worked beautifully. I think because I'm not using a specifically lip brush, it's causing some issues with the application. Plus it could be because the room is cold, so the lipstick got a little bit cold. I'm trying to warm it up a little bit in my hands as I sweep the brush through it. So, yeah, if you want me to do any more videos like this where I talk about twin flames and dynamics, go ahead and leave me a comment in the comment section below. And anyways, until next time, I wish you kindness, I wish you love, I wish you joy, I wish you happiness, I wish you prosperity, I wish you protection. This is the look for today. I'm still working on improving my techniques, so yeah. And most of all, I wish you brightest blessings. Until next time, blessed be.